You are listening to New Vision, Old Ways, the podcast that explores timeless wisdom for the modern mind in a fun, relaxed, and most important, interactive way with you, the listener. I am your host, Tony Marinaccio, and let's get the episode started. Welcome back to the podcast. We have another great episode for you, and I will be discussing the sometimes difficult concept of the Tao Te Ching, what it is, why it's important, and how does it relate to our modern times? This is a tough one to fully grasp, but I will do my best to get us to a point where we could try to understand its complexities, but also its simplistic view at times. We have a lot to uncover here, so let's get right into it. What is the Tao Te Ching? In essence, it's the idea that we must live in harmony with nature while living a simplistic and compassionate life, letting go of the past, being mindful of our present, and listening to our inner voice, the voice of God. The Tao Te Ching, spelled with two T's and a Ching, is actually pronounced Tao Te Ching. It was written in short, concise verses by Lao Tzu, thought to be a contemporary of Confucius in the 6th century BCE. Legend has it that after he met and studied with Confucius, he eventually criticized his teachings as hollow practices. He retired to the Kunlun Mountains, where he developed his thoughts, and when he came down the mountain, a border guard convinced him to write down his wisdom before disappearing from society. Can all of this be specifically proven? Probably not, but no one has proven otherwise yet. So this remains the common belief of the origin of the Tao Te Ching. And a few side notes at this point. I will do my best to pronounce the names and the terms correctly, but I am certainly not an expert at that. Also, one must realize that the Tao was written in ancient Chinese. This version of Chinese is not only difficult to translate to English, but even the modern Chinese have difficulty translating it at times. So you may find different terminology used depending on where the translation came from, but the core tenets remain intact. So now, with that in mind, let's dig into this spiritual theory. So, I touched on the core tenets of the Tao Te Ching. So, if you remember a few moments ago, it was living a simplistic and compassionate life, letting go of the past, living in harmony with nature, and listening to your inner voice. On the surface, one might think that these tenets are obvious, too simplistic, or maybe not truly relatable to our modern world. But as one learns about the Tao, one can see that to truly understand the Tao is almost impossible, yet in many ways obtainable. We can all relatively understand what living a simplistic and compassionate life means. We have heard or practiced letting go of the past, but understanding harmony in nature and listening to your inner voice is, well, not as easy as it sounds. The Tao concentrates on how everything interconnects in the universe, how oneself connects to the universe, how the energy of the earth can nourish and heal the body. Students of the Tao practice meditation techniques and concentrate on the inner voice that, according to the Tao, is the sacred spiritual vessel. So why is our inner voice so important? Well, this may be the most important part of the Tao, to me anyway. So many people now completely ignore their true inner voice and rely on the external world, like social media, the group one chooses to listen to in order to fit in, and harmful ideology, whether they believe in it or not, just to feel a part of something bigger than them, really giving no thought to its effect on them or the world at large. The Tao teaches us that the inner voice, if ignored, can and will have dire consequences. I believe that because of the lack of parenting in many cases, the lack of teachers and schools properly preparing young people for life and adulthood, these young people don't have the proper moral and life skills to know how harmful their actions are. When one truly understands how to listen to their inner voice, when we are properly educated and we have the confidence to follow our voice, we become more powerful human beings because we then are in control of ourselves, not allowing ourselves to be led by mindless, useless, and many times evil people that clearly do not have our best interests at heart. Verse 2 of the Tao partially states that everyone recognizes beauty as beauty. since the ugly is also there. Everyone recognizes goodness as goodness, since evil is also there. So, if you think about it, it's the yin and yang, so to speak. We have, in many cases in current times, blurred good and evil, beauty and ugly, to justify, and I have to say it, our breakdowns of morals, and that allows individuals to do what they please. But yet, so many now do what they please with no regard to how those actions affect the universe or simply the world around them, and yet they are still unhappy with their lives. Mental illness is at an all-time high. Suicides continue to ramp upward. So why? Tell me why, if doing anything you please with no regard to others is so great, why are people more unhappy now than ever? A look back at my episode about transcendentalism has a relation to this as well. The call for self-reliance and individualism becomes a powerful antidote to conformity. That, with an educated and moral mind, can and will give individuals the confidence to listen to their inner voice, to follow only what they truly believe in, and are able to fend off the mob mentality that is, I believe, ripping the souls out of so many, leaving people with nothing more than a victim mentality and no hope for the future. So, how does the harmony with nature fit into this? Well, the Tao can be translated to the way of nature as day. So you have the Tao, and the day can be translated to the power or the virtue that comes through the understanding of the Tao. As I stated before, an important part of the Tao Te Ching is meditation practices. These practices are meant for one, to understand the energy or the Chi in ourselves and the universe. I, of course, cannot go through all of these practices, but I strongly recommend picking up a book and studying these meditation techniques and understanding how anyone can benefit from the universal Chi or life force, and how it can heal the mind and body, and how this can help us get in tune with our inner voice. Suggested reading is in the show notes, so I'll have that there for you. But once we have confidence to listen to our inner voice, it becomes our guiding light. We need to trust it. If you even suspect that you are hearing evil voices, say, then that is a clear indication that you need to speak with someone and get some therapy. And that's okay. There is nothing wrong with asking for help. With therapy, you can eliminate that evil or negative voice and then start listening to the voice that is truly you, one that has your best interests at its core. Getting in harmony with nature doesn't mean grassy or wooded areas only. It can mean anywhere you are. It means being in the moment without distraction, like, being somewhere without your cell phone, God forbid, right? No media at all, just absorbing the moment, learning to listen to who you are with, and seeing and hearing all that is around you. Social media is an escape that we all use, but think about what that constantly does to your mind and how clogged up with useless stuff it becomes. Our minds were meant to rest and get in touch with our inner voice, with nature and our surroundings, or bigger picture, the universe. Another way to look at this is the Chinese philosophy of Wu Wei. It is a concept deeply rooted within Taoism. It can be translated as non-doing or effortless action. And at its core, Wu Wei is about aligning oneself with the natural flow of the universe, allowing things to happen naturally without excessive effort or interference. Rather than imposing our will forcefully onto the world, Wu Wei suggests letting go of excessive striving and allowing actions to arise spontaneously from the present moment. In today's obviously fast-paced world, filled with stress and constant struggling for success, the idea of embracing naturalness and spontaneity can offer a counterbalance, promoting a sense of ease and peace amidst all the chaos. So if we look back at episode 2, the Stoicism, we can see how the Stoic tenets of wisdom and courage can seep into aspects of the Tao. We need courage to really look into our own soul and follow our inner voice. Our inner voice may not always be saying what we want to hear, but it is telling us important information that we need to understand and most likely abide by, because that is truly who we are. Wisdom, of course, is what we need to understand our relationship to nature and how the energy or chi can help us gain health, strength, and willingness to look to the future with confidence instead of dread. In today's world, we're often resistant to change, fearing the unknown, and clinging to the familiar. Yet the Tao teaches us to embrace change, to adapt and flow like water, allowing ourselves to embrace change and not fear the future, which sounds great, doesn't it? So now many of us fear change. We fear the future, and I believe happens in many cases directly from our leaders. A core aspect of the Tao Te Ching is its wisdom on leadership. In a world where leadership is often equated with power and control, the Tao teaches us a different model of leadership, one based on humility, compassion, and by example. Instead of imposing our will on others, the Tao encourages us to lead from a place of authenticity and inner strength, inspiring others through our wisdom, inspired words, and actions. Are we getting that now? No. We get leaders telling us what we can say, what we can do, what we can drive, and punishing us if we do not comply. We have the power to change this. We can reverse this trend. We just need the courage to do so and make this country a better place with true virtue and mindfulness. Now, wouldn't that be nice? Remember mindfulness in the last episode? These concepts intertwine, and we can take what works from each in order to best fit our own lives. What I like about the Tao Te Ching is that it consistently gets to the idea that humans are generally good or want to be good. The struggles come from ego, fragmentation of society, sound familiar, and a relationship with excess. If you study the Tao, you begin to realize that if you become more in tune with oneself or the inner voice and stop being completely influenced by others, you will become a more powerful you. Your mental well-being will be one of healing and confidence instead of the constant dread and fear of what's ahead. Look at the Tao, find out about the meditation practices that can certainly help, and begin to listen, trust, and most importantly, act on the inner voice that we all have, the voice of God. And I know we have barely touched the surface of the Tao Te Ching, but I believe it is a concept that, if practiced, no matter what your religious or spiritual beliefs are, can change your life and bring you to a higher place. But you have to be willing to look inside your mind, let go of the past, listen to that inner voice, and understand your relationship to the universe and the energy or chi that will energize, heal, and nourish and bring peace of mind to your soul. So, folks, there you have it. The Tao Te Ching. What do you think? I'd love to find out, and I want to remind you all this is truly an open discussion, and I'd love to hear your take on this and whatever related ideas you have. So where can you find us? These are always in the show notes, but here they are. You can email us at newvisionoldways@gmail.com. You can find us on what was Twitter, now X, at New Vision Old Way. We had to drop the S, so it's at New Vision Old Way. Find us on Facebook. Usually you just type in New Vision space Old Ways podcast, and you should easily find us. And as a reminder, these are still new platforms for us and expanding all the time. So we need your help to get the flow going with the community. And last but not least, if you can do me a huge favor and subscribe, like us, but maybe most importantly, leave a review on whatever platform you found us on. That would be so appreciated. That will also help secure guests that we will be booking in the future. So I can't wait to get your input. And I also can't wait until we get together again for the next episode of New Vision Old Ways. Until then, please be safe, be cool to each other, and let's change the world.